We didn't, okay, sorry. We're doing supervision. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Middleton Finance and Personnel Meeting. Bill, can we start out with roll call?
Alder Hernero,
Here.
Alder Lorman,
Here.
Alder Crow,
Here.
Alder present.
All right. Next is approval of the minutes. Members, any comments, updates for Bill?
I don't have any changes. I do just want to make sure that the staff recalls my comment about having a conversation in the future about more realistic project capital requests so
Mhm.
that we're not inadvertently borrowing 2 or 3 years in advance. Just tempering our expectations for the future. It didn't need to be reflected in the minutes, but I just wanted to make sure staff remembered that.
All right, I'll accept the minutes then as they have been submitted. Audit of the bills. Bill.
I have no additions this evening.
All righty.
And I will move to approve the audit of the bills.
Thank you much. Lorman will second that. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. I'll get that back over to Randall. Thank you. Next, we're on to agreements and contracts. The first up is first up is an agreement with the Middleton Gators Swim and Dive Inc. for the use of the Ballman Community Pool. And the fiscal impact is approximately $20,100. Kylie's here. If we have any questions or you have anything to present? Nope, nothing. All right. That's what I figured.
Oh.
And any review necessary by the city attorney on this?
No, I looked at it. It's fine. It's basically the same form
Okay,
as it has been.
all right.
And I would,
Commission members, any questions or comments?
I would move to recommend the council approve the agreement.
All right. Can I have a second?
Crow, a second.
All righty. All those in
Well,
favor?
I do have a comment or a question for Kylie. I do appreciate the attempt to reduce the subsidy that we provide to the Gators. I noticed in your memo, you talked about how it has gone down. Is it the intention to eventually reduce that subsidy to 0?
Yes, we have been communicating. with them.
For Chucky.
Yes, we have been in communication with the Gators for the past 3-4 years now, communicating that that's our goal. And so we've been stepping through the financial process with them, understanding that they too have to go through with their membership in that. So we've been stepping it forward to get to that point, and hopefully we can see that in the next 2 years.
Okay, great. And Kylie, do you know, do they offer scholarships for students who don't have the means to pay the increased fee?
They do offer scholarships. That's not something we require
Right.
of them, but they do offer that.
Thank you.
All right, if that is it, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Fantastic. Next is the consideration and recommendation of appointment of Chris Odell to the position of Emergency Medical Services Chief.
This is Haniro. I move to recommend that council approve the appointment of Chris Odell to the position of EMS chief.
And Lorman will second that. Brian, and Chris is here tonight? You'd like to come up and say hello? That would be, if the members are okay with that,
Yep.
responding, okay, would be
While he's
appreciated.
making his way up there, I'll just say I'm so excited. The third time truly was the charm. And I especially, in the interviews, I especially appreciated, now Chief Odell's commitment to community relationships and to increasing communication within the department.
Well, thank you, Alder Henninger. I really appreciate it. Again, Chris Odell, quick introduction. I know it's a long night, so hopefully I'd like to have a chance to present again tonight at City Council as well too, but it's an absolute honor. It's been a long road with a lot of good support along the way as well too. Alder, you've been great and instrumental in terms of stepping in and helping out through the application process, the interview process. A lot of really great people help kind of form the path and hopefully help assist us in forging our future moving forward. So it's a pleasure and honor. Thank you both.
Thank you very much. All right. We need a motion on this and we've
We,
got that done.
Yep.
So all those in favor, please say aye.
I,
All right. Next is discussion and consideration of the concept review for tax increment financing assistance for the Electron development. This is, Lacrone,
Lacrone.
thank you. And Randall.
I'm gonna
will
recuse myself.
Recuse himself. All righty.
Can you just, for the record, state the nature of your recusal?
I'm an employee of Lake Ridge Bank, which has a relationship with Lacrone. So,
Lacrone, thank
yeah.
you. So what I was thinking, if this body is okay with that, we'd hear from staff, give us an overview of the staff recommendation in the packet tonight, and then Mr. Escobar is here. We'd hear from him, and I believe we also have a council member that's here that would like to comment. So if we could run through those, if that would be all right, and then we could discuss after that. Okay, thank you.
Okay. I could just quickly summarize my memo and I'm happy to answer any questions. We also have two other members of our TIF team here, Brian and Bill, who can step in as well. Our staff is recommending against providing TIF assistance for this project. There are several reasons and I'll walk through each one. The first reason is the developer is proposing that the city create a new tax increment district to support this project. The location of this project is actually already within the bounds of TIF District 5. In fact, in 2009, the city created TIF District 5 in large part to support the Tribeca development. The reason that the developer is requesting a new TID to be created is because they would like to take advantage of having more years of tax increment available. TIF District 5 is scheduled to close in 2036, and there's always a lag time between when a project is fully constructed, fully accessible, and fully payable to the city. So that shrinks the number of years of TIF increment that is available, and the developer is proposing the new TID creation in order to be able to capture additional years of tax increment. The second reason is that this area is not currently planned for a new tax increment district. Through policy guidance coming out of the city's comprehensive plan and other documents, our staff has begun looking at where the city may want to propose creation of new TIF districts once TID 3 closes in April and the city is below the 12% assessed valuation cap. At this point in time, we are looking at University Avenue corridor, parts of downtown Middleton, and then still leaving the capacity to create site-specific TIF districts. And the language from the comp plan is that site-specific districts can create a targeted approach to investing in the business parks to retain and attract employers and workforce. The third reason is that this area, we do not believe would be eligible for creation of a new site-specific TIF district. The State Department of Revenue has 5 different types of TIDs that can be created. And at this point in time, because the project is primarily greenfield residential, we don't think that it would meet the statutory requirements for creation of a new TIF site-specific TIF district. If it were encompassed within other areas where there was a lot more redevelopment or other activities happening, then that would be a larger TIF district created, and that would be a different story potentially. The fourth reason is that this project does not comply with the city's TIF policy. The city's TIF policy, section 3, lists the following project type as ineligible: market rate housing on greenfield sites. Since the city approved their TIF policy, the first TIF policy in early 2020, this has consistently been applied. The city has not provided any assistance to any market rate housing on a greenfield site. It's not because we haven't been asked. We have several times, but we have consistently applied that. The developer is proposing that this is workforce housing, affordable at 80% of area median income. The city of Middleton does not provide assistance to rental housing units affordable at 80% of area median income. What we have done through tax increment financing, going back to 2012 and maybe earlier, but the earliest one that I could find is 2012, we have provided assistance for affordable income restricted housing that is affordable at 60% area median income or below. In this case, they're targeting a higher income level, 80%, and they are not proposing any kind of income restriction for the units. And a unit without an income restriction is essentially a market rate unit, because as the market changes, you know, if there's a low vacancy rate and rental rates go up, the unit would then also bear a higher rental cost. So it's not income restricted and it's not affordable per the city's definition, which again has been consistently applied. The fifth reason is that a few years back, the property owner and developer of Tribeca approached the city and requested assistance to be able to complete the remainder of the Tribeca development with commercial space. And at that time, they said that the biggest barrier was there was a need for a new stormwater facility to be constructed, because there was about 44 acres of land on the other side of the Beltline that was draining onto Tribeca. And at that point in time, the city agreed to provide upfront TIF assistance. So it was not developer financed. We borrowed for it, or maybe we already had the funding available within the TID, that I don't recall. But we entered into an agreement with the property owner that we would provide that 1.5 million in upfront assistance, with the understanding that there would not be additional TIF provided, and especially not if there was a request to rezone the property, because we, you know, kind of have seen a pattern with this particular development that really started out planned for a mixed use neighborhood, and over time there have been encroachments or requests to rezone the land for strictly housing. And I think at the time, the staff as well as the city council acknowledged that there might be a future request coming forward to rezone it for multifamily. And while the agreement it's not binding, the city council could certainly decide still that they want to go forward, and they could provide assistance. It was an intent to put together a document that would provide guidance to a future council, basically. So those are the reasons that we're recommending denial of the TIF request. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Abby. And then just out of curiosity, in your conversations with the developer, and this is a T-wall development, correct? Ultimately, because I note the memo on T-wall Enterprises letterhead.
Yes, Lacrone Holdings LLC is a separate LLC that was formed for this development project, but T-Wall is a partner. I don't know if they're 100%. Fernando can speak to that.
Okay. In your conversations with the developer, as this was moving towards the Finance and Personnel Committee, did the staff make it clear that these reasons, such as, you know, it's not compliant with our TIF policy, it's probably not statutorily possible to create a TID here, these were all discussed?
Yes, we certainly discussed that we would not consider this workforce housing per our policy. We definitely discussed that this does not comply with the city's TIF policy and that we wouldn't support TIF. And we also provided a copy of the agreement for the stormwater pond and highlighted the language stating that there should be no further assistance expected for this
Yes.
project.
I remember that from Plan Commission discussions as well. And when is the second rezoning request coming to Plan Commission? There's a hearing, I think the memo said.
Yes, there's a hearing scheduled for February 24th.
And that's after the Plan Commission rejected the original rezoning request. It came to council, but it was pulled before council could vote on that. Is that the
I
timeline?
can't remember if they pulled it from council or if the council recommended against it.
I think it was pulled because if
Okay.
council recommended against it, I think they'd have to wait another year.
Oh, okay.
So it's going, the new proposal is a new PUD.
It is updated from the previous submittal.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. So next we could hear from Mr. Escobar.
Is this on? Okay. So Fernando Escobar, 709 Emerson in Madison. So there's a lot to unpack there, but hopefully I can offer a little bit of background on some of the items that were just touched on. So the first thing that I'd like to touch on is basically one of the reasons that staff is recommending against TIF here is they pointed to that market rate housing on greenfield sites are, I want to underscore, not typically TIF eligible. That's some of the language that's included. However, if you keep reading on, it says market rate housing projects will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis and may be considered for assistance to the degree they demonstrate a financial gap and promote the city's TIF goals articulated in section 1. So I find it, interesting that very important language was left off of the denial, because obviously that presents the opportunity for us to make our case, which I believe is a strong one. So I'll just start with some of the items that, given that language that is included but was left out, again, I believe allows us to present a strong case. One is this will obviously provide a growing tax base to the property base. The development will materially expand the city of Middleton's property tax base and generate substantial new tax increment. The community includes market rate multifamily units, a senior housing community, and a full-service hotel with restaurant and meeting facilities. The combination of residential density and commercial uses converts a currently non-productive parcel into a high-value tax-generating asset. Item 2, fostering the creation and retention of quality jobs for individuals of all backgrounds. Construction of the project will create a significant short-term employment opportunity across multiple trades and professions and will create permanent jobs. Ongoing operations will establish permanent jobs in building management, maintenance, restaurant service, hotel hospitality, and senior care. The scale of the community and its mixed-use components provide accessible entry points for workers with varied skill levels, education, and experience. And these new positions strengthen the local service and hospitality sectors and help Middleton retain, a diverse workforce within its city. It was pointed to that this is an infill development. One of the items that we believe it does well is it is in fact promoting infill development and redevelopment that achieves the highest and best use of land. Everything around that area has been developed to a different standard that was originally contemplated. The senior development, I believe, was originally big box retail. There's a senior development across the street that was supposed to be a grocery store. Obviously, this was intended to be office space. We've been at prior meetings where I believe most, I don't want to speak for everyone, but most, the sentiment was that that's not an office development parcel any longer. So I believe the site is true infill location, and it's surrounded again by development. Current zoning and land use assumptions for this corridor were established years ago, and again, do not reflect present-day market condition or housing demand. I was looking at office vacancies recently in the area, and there's places that have 60, 70% occupancy, which is just not feasible to build. There's a reason office is not being built currently. The parcel remains vacant despite being one of the few remaining redevelopment opportunities in this area of Middleton. And I do believe the proposed project aligns with modern planning objectives by redeveloping underutilized land to meet the city's demonstrated need for housing and complementary commercial amenities. Lastly, I do want to make the case that this is in incentivizing the development of a range of workforce housing options that can close the housing affordability gap. I do understand the argument being made that workforce housing at an 80% CMI level is not workforce housing. We are suggesting that 20% of all the multifamily units will be developed as workforce housing units. They will have the same luxury finishes and access to premium amenities as the market rate units. I do want to highlight, I was at a meeting prior, and things are fluid, so maybe it changed, but you are currently proposing a housing action plan that addresses affordable housing in Middleton. And in that proposal, you are targeting households making up to 120% area median income with a focus on those making 80% or less. But again, goes up to 120% AMI. And in that presentation, it was called affordable numerous times. If that is the target for remaining TID funds, which is what that project is doing, there is every reason to consider construction of 80% units as TIF eligible. I believe that consistency is critical in local government. Not allowing TIF eligible expenses on 80% units would point to a clear misalignment, in my opinion, and would basically go against with your very own goals and policy. The community is designed to provide high-quality living options that remain attainable for individuals beginning their careers or experiencing major life transitions. It is important to retain young professionals downsizing, empty nesters, and residents seeking a quality unit within Middleton. There are 18,000 workers who commute to Middleton each day, but can't find housing. Creating affordable communities within this type of development allows the city to keep emerging talent local and supports residents who wish to reduce housing costs while maintaining a quality of life. The inclusion of workforce housing units diversifies Middleton's housing stock and helps address the affordability gap for a broad segment of the population. I do want to mention that I'm not going to say that I am an expert on affordable housing. I did, however, work at the Wisconsin Housing Economic Development Authority for close to a decade, and there were many projects that would come in and had 80% CMI units and were considered workforce housing units. Right now, to this day, you can submit a tax credit application and include 80% CMI units, and those are considered both affordable housing and workforce housing. So I do think that it's probably a prudent move for staff or someone within the city of Middleton to reach out to WIDA and make sure that, you know, things align as intended. I don't think that that's a purposeful thing. Obviously, I think everyone's trying to bring quality housing to the community. But again, to consistently now for, I believe, a second or third meeting, point to 80% CMI units not being workforce housing, I just don't believe that's factual. I do want to touch on, lastly, some of the items or remarks that were made regarding, you know, the second new tax increment. Think Just notes that I took down as staff was speaking is, you know, we've been looking at these areas. We do not believe that this is going to qualify. So to, in my opinion, state something as almost factual and deny for things that haven't even come to be yet just doesn't seem reasonable to me. If the development currently, a decision hasn't already been made that this is not within this new formulated TID or the specific sites to attract new employers. I mean, I don't know how we would suddenly just, without that being already decided, just automatically fall out of scope. So we would certainly like the opportunity, once those decisions are made, to make our case. Another thing I'd like to point out is we did do internal research. There's two specific developments that received TIF, Cardinal Row and Market West. Those two developments specifically have development agreements with language in them that a certain amount of 60% units, or it might have been all 60% units, that they were bringing forth as affordable housing, they actually have the ability to go to 80%. If someone moves into that unit and suddenly does not income qualify, it's fine. That unit can now be an 80% unit as we read the development agreement. So again, somewhat of an inconsistency there to say we've only given TIF to 60% units when there's actually language within those very development agreements that allows them to become 80% units. And with that, I believe I've been long-winded enough. I certainly welcome any questions or comments.
Clarifying question?
Those two examples, Cardinal Row strikes me as being around 2017. Is that about right?
That's right.
Okay. And Market West, I don't remember, was that
Same.
same time period? So it sounds like there was a little bit of flexibility in the way it was written up.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. Are you willing to create rental housing that is income restricted to 60% or less of AMI?
This is not a tax credit project, so that's not what we're proposing. We're proposing units that are going to be at 80% CMI.
So that's a no.
Workforce housing, again, is 80% by WIDA standards.
Right. But the answer to my question is no, you're not willing to build the income restricted. And that's okay. I mean, that's a fair answer. What are the thousands of permanent jobs that your cover letter says will be created?
That might have been a typo, but it would be in reference to basically all of the short term with the construction going on in the site for the different phases. And then obviously there would be permanent jobs. If it mentioned a larger number, I apologize. That would be a typo.
Yeah, it did. I wonder, did that come maybe from the Derby district wording? Because that would have been.
No, we wouldn't just override templates that way.
Okay. I'll just say that I trust the staff to determine if there's alignment between our city plan goals and our policies. I do think once decisions are made, it would be fine to have you come back and make your case. You know, if a TID is created and it encompasses this site, I think that would be the right time to approach the city with the proposal. I don't think this is the right time, and I would not be in favor of creating a new TID. The date of 2017, I wonder if Abby would be willing to address your comments implying that the staff maybe did some things for previous developments that they're not willing to do for this one. The date of 2017 makes me think perhaps the policy changed after that. Abby, can you address the 60% going up to 80%?
Yeah, so both of the developments that Fernando referenced, those were not LIHTC projects. So those were both apartment buildings where we had a developer that was planning market rate housing, and the city, through its workforce housing committee and through the common council, negotiated a percentage of those units to be income restricted affordable. For Market West, the initial goal that was set out is to try to get 10% of the units negotiated. So that's a 240 unit development. After figuring out the cost calculation where we look at the rent differential. So we're calculating the difference between what is affordable at 60% area median income and what the market rate rent would be. That is the amount of assistance that's provided. So it's a rent differential calculation. It's subject to annual reporting. It's subject to income restriction requirements. We were able to negotiate 23 of the Market West units to be affordable at 60% AMI. I think that the section of the agreement that Fernando was referring to is the section for what happens if a tenant gets a pay increase or if their household circumstances change and they go above the 60% AMI. And there is a section in the agreement that addresses that. Essentially, what we look at is we try to make the units floating units. So if there are 23 units, it's not units 1 through 23 within the development that are income restricted. It's that there needs to be 23 units. And if one person's income increases above the 60% amount, that can no longer be considered one of the income restricted affordable units. A new person, the next unit that opens up needs to be rented and income restricted to somebody at 60% of area median income. For the Cardinal Row project, that is only a 16 unit development. Yes, I have these numbers memorized. That's how long I've worked for the city. I was involved with both of these projects, but Cardinal Row was a 16 unit development, and the Workforce Housing Committee also really preferred to have 2 units, because that would have been met the 10% threshold, 2 units affordable and income restricted at 60% AMI. And then once they ran the rent differential calculation, they realized that the cost was too high and instead pursued having 1 unit that's income restricted, but wanted to make it a 3-bedroom unit because of the proximity to the schools so that it could accommodate a family.
So,
I-
Abby, I said we'd have time to hear from one of our alders, and we're getting like in the weeds of it.
Okay.
And I guess I'd like to hear, unless he does not want to. Yeah, well, I want to hear from your comments so we can have a little wrap up on it. And have a little
Just
input.
in summary, both of those are 60% AMI developments that the city negotiated through TIF, but that is consistent with the 60% threshold that we've been using since as long as I've been here, so decades.
If I may.
So, Mr. Escobar, I just want us to hear from the next person. And then add a little bit of wrap up to it. Because what I want to stress here is we're not going to shut the door on anything. That's not the intent of this. This is to listen and discuss and get the information out there. I think it's important that be known. And I appreciate my colleagues' questions because it's pulling out the history. Go ahead. Identify yourself, sir.
My name is Charles Myers. I represent, My name is Charles Myers. I represent District 5 on Middleton City Council. Good evening, colleagues. The proposed development is in my district. While I am generally in favor of more housing and as much of it as possible, I am here today to support the staff recommendation to deny this request for tax increment financing assistance. I agree in substance with the points enumerated in the staff memo, but I want to add 2 additional items for your consideration. First, the area was originally planned as a complete neighborhood. By removing almost all commercial space from this project, the development will create a car-dependent neighborhood not envisioned in our comprehensive plan. Second, this item is not properly before the Personnel and Finance Committee. Without a positive recommendation from the Plan Commission, allocation of funds or the creation of a new district would be premature. I urge you to defer consideration of this item until after the Plan Commission has made a final determination.
Thanks. And that's why I wanted us to hear from staff, Mr. Escobar and Alder Myers. It is in front of us, just, as a discussion point, so we can listen to it. But I also don't think that just two of us sitting here are in that type of position to really render such a large decision. And I encourage that the city continue to take a look at this, especially the Plan Commission, which is a body that is, I think, more qualified than perhaps two people sitting here. No reflection on any individual here. It's just to have a body look at it, because I would like to believe that there's just opportunity here. Yes, and I'll let you comment and then hear from the two of us, and then I think we'll be in good shape.
Yeah, thank you. I just first want to thank everyone for their time. I appreciate the questions. I certainly understand them. And just kind of want to end it with, it sounds like in the past, the city has been flexible. 2017 was a long time ago. Rents have gone drastically up. We would be open to even increasing our workforce set aside from 20 to 25%. And again, that's a negotiation piece. And it sounds like, again, in the past, those discussions have occurred. And I appreciate Mr. Nero, you mentioning that this probably is more prudent to be discussed at a later time when decisions have been made. I couldn't agree more. So thank you for that.
Any closing
I
comments?
just wanted to thank Abby for all the detail and to point out that that's why I trust the staff's recommendations, because I believe that Bill and Brian and Abby are on top of things. And I really appreciate all the work that you all did to bring this recommendation to us. I am on the Plan Commission, so this will be discussed. And we'll see what happens at the next Plan Commission meeting. And just a point of clarification for Brian, do we need to vote on a concept review?
If you're not in a position where you feel ready to because you were waiting for additional information from another body, like Plan Commission, for example, you could just defer this to a later date after which the Plan Commission has had an opportunity to review it.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, and I just want to echo what my colleague has stated. I couldn't agree more. And I appreciate Mr. Escobar getting here and putting on a presentation. I certainly appreciate all the time and effort staff puts into this, because we do take that serious. And I guess with that, then we don't need to make a motion to defer. We'll just,
Do we need a motion
do we
to
want to,
defer?
yeah.
Okay.
So with that, we can stand adjourned, and thank you for your time.